Hari Om, and welcome to Thinking is Free, proudly brought to you by Chinmaya Mission New Zealand. Hari Om, and welcome back to Thinking is Free. My name is Akash, and today we have Ishanji.
As always, Hari Om.
Welcome back.
Yes, thank you.
Now, do you want to tell us where you've been, what you've been up to, and...
Well, yes. So I took a break for 2 weeks from the classes here.
Yeah, I was going to say, was it a break?
It wasn't a break. It wasn't a break. It was a break from classes.
Mm-hmm.
And I attended this course called Make It Happen with Pujiswami Surupananji.
Mm-hmm.
Mind-blowing stuff.
Right.
Definitely something what each one of us should attend if we get the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Gives a lot of insight into how we think, why we think what we think,
Right.
and figuring out a greater purpose and vision to life. Because most of the time we really don't think about it.
No.
Why do we do things? What's the purpose of it? Is there an agenda, or are we just going with the flow? We've set up goals for ourselves because society has said so, or because I want it. But why do I want it? We really haven't thought about life enough or deeply enough. And, all those questions are asked and we are made to think about them. It's pretty thought-provoking and really beautifully designed course over 6 days with a bunch of people who are all interested in the same thing.
Yep.
And it's called Make It Happen. So it's actually to help us achieve whatever goals we may set, not just spiritual, whether it be getting a new job, getting married, starting a new business, becoming a millionaire, whatever our goals are, to get us going on it. It's absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what was what would you say would be the key takeaway for you? What was something that where you first walked in and you were like, okay, I'm here to learn, and then that realization for you?
I think one of the biggest learning outcomes for me was really seeing or learning to challenge our own beliefs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think I can emphasize enough how we limit ourselves.
Right.
It's all in our minds. We are stopping ourselves from being happy.
Yeah.
We are stopping ourselves from reaching whatever goal we want. And we've fed these ideas to ourselves, knowingly or unknowingly.
Yeah.
And we've boxed ourselves into this identity, and it limits us.
Massively, right?
Yes.
What are we talking about when we say identity and boxing ourselves in? What are some of those examples?
Right. So let us take a simple idea of happiness, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's actually quite a complicated idea.
Yeah.
But let us make it more simplistic.
Mm-hmm.
If I ask you, what do you need to be happy? What would you say?
Shelter, food, friends.
Why? Who's drawn those constraints?
Maslow.
Maslow only identified a trend.
Mm-hmm.
But we've created those constraints for ourselves.
Yeah. I was going to say everything we've taken in from the world around us.
Yep.
From when we're a young child.
Yep.
Everything we've been taught. Eat your veggies so you can be strong and healthy. Within school, the picture or what you're watching on TV, the happy family, what all that looks like.
Yep.
These preconceived notions of what an identity.
Right. So there are certain needs which we can't deny.
Yeah.
Right. So food is required, clothing is required, shelters required. But these are required for a standard of life.
Mm.
Is it required for happiness?
Mm.
Right? But we have drawn parallels between if I have food, then I'm happy. If I have clothing, and it's not just any clothing, it's a certain brand
It's
of clothing. It's
a
certain
condition.
Yeah. And so we've created these ideas in our mind that only when I wear a Gucci or a Louis Vuitton or Nike or Adidas,
Yeah.
some brand, then I'm happy. If I don't have that, I'm not happy and I have to work hard to achieve that. Says who? Right? Clothing is needed. We don't deny that. But a certain brand of clothing is needed to be happy.
I understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
but I think we're also tied. Yeah. Bottom line, it's happiness, right? But as part of the construct, for someone who's an athlete, they'd want to wear something that represents what an athlete would wear. I can understand, at the end of the day, it's just a means to keep us warm.
Yep.
But like if you ask any creative what is the perceived type of technology used for a creative, everyone's like Apple because of the way it's been marketed.
Correct.
And
it's not necessarily true though, because there have been great creative people, great artists, great sculptors who had nothing to do with Apple.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
We have Da Vinci, we have Michelangelo, Bernini. So many great art. These are some of the well-known ones, but even the lesser-known ones. Creativity is not synonymous with Apple.
No.
Creativity is something inherent to us. And its expression is happiness, but we think happiness is linked with something external.
The way I am perceived.
Yeah. Or the tools that I require to succeed. I do not require those tools to succeed. It may help me, but it's not a need for my success.
That's right.
So, there's so many ideas that we've bought into, knowingly or unknowingly. And it's those beliefs that constrain us. We've just thought of things in a linear manner that I have to do this and this and this and this and this, then I'll be happy. Happiness can be here and now if I want it. If I'm willing to challenge my beliefs.
It's so interesting you say that. Even I try and always try and look at things first in a positive way.
Yep.
No matter what happens, the situation is a situation. An event has happened, and then it's up to us on how we look at it.
Yep.
But I know that there's also other people at the same time, just like, I'm such a negative person. Well, I'll always, and that's just how we think.
Yep.
We're all wired. But actually, are we wired like that to see things in a certain way?
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes. So when we use the term wired, we are not hardwired into anything. We are hardwired to think. How we think is up to us. And that can be changed.
So in a time of immense loss and grief and mourning, we think we feel sad, and that's what naturally expresses.
Yes.
Can we still feel happy? Can we express happiness?
Right. So it depends on how we look at the situation. Right. A sense of loss might be there, but do I have to grieve and cry and weep and get bogged down by it? Not necessarily. the emotions for a loss may be there, but it does not make me a sad person,
Yeah.
right? A moment of sadness does not make me sad.
Mm.
A moment of happiness does not make me happy.
That's right.
To recognize ourselves as something more and to be rooted in that is what spirituality strives towards. So one can definitely have a sense of being and remaining unaffected to a great degree, even in the worst of external losses or dire circumstances. It's
Mm.
very much possible as long as I'm clear on who I am and I haven't bought into the erroneous idea of who I think I am or what I
Yeah.
need for myself to be happy. It's our vision that makes all the difference on how I think.
So that's big, eh?
It's huge. It's huge.
That massive, just a huge attachment onto this person that I am and everyone that's around me and associated to me, and how there's like little pockets of happiness invested into all of these things.
Yep. And wherever we have this perceived sense of happiness, we attach to it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So just yesterday with younger kids, so these are like 12 to 15-year-olds, really smart kids. And we were discussing the learnings from air. Air as an element, what does it teach us?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And the idea that was brought out was air picks up whatever it comes across for a few moments, but then it drops it. It essentially is detached. Right?
Mm.
For a moment, it picks up something. It appears to be affected. It's really not affected. But with a few more moments, a little passing of time, it drops whatever it has picked up. And it becomes as it was. The question is, can we live like that? Or do we pick up something and then just hold on to it with our lives, saying that this is what I need for the rest of my life to be happy?
Yeah. So how do we drop the notions, this identity? Do we need to? Or is it more the understand? Because what I'm thinking is it's more just the knowing, right? Where you have this outside world and this internal world and this grand scheme we've been going on about for I don't know how many episodes.
Yeah.
You know? In that, I was just listening over the episode on life's philosophy, and we're talking about that philosophy of many lives.
Yeah.
And even to have that, you got to go back and
absolutely
reframe what it is to you. What is this identity?
Yeah.
Who am I?
So this identity has been created through repeated thought patterns. Certain experiences, certain ideas, thought over again and again, affirmed into our subconscious. And we start feeling this is who I am. Right? When a child is born, it doesn't have a name. And then you give it a name. Right? And then slowly, because people address it by that name alone, it starts developing the identity, I am this name.
Yeah.
Right? Actually, it's interesting that when kids are young, they actually refer to that name in third person.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only later on when the identity crystallizes and they take ownership that, this is not some third person, they're referring to me. And it becomes, I am so-and-so. And it was a very interesting exercise because obviously Ishan's not always been my name.
Yeah.
I was given a different name since birth. And then to readjust to this new name that has been given to me, it's essentially undoing a belief or picking up another idea that I'm Ishan now. I'm not Anish.
Yeah. And also for the world around you to do the same also.
Yeah. Exactly. So, you know, in the world, it's people have pet names, and they call
Yeah.
people by different names. But for myself, who hasn't ever had a different name, and I've always been called by the name Anish, to suddenly one day change it to Ishan,
Mm.
and then to generate this idea that I'm Ishan. It's just years and years of thought patterns which are engraved into the mind that I'm Anish, I'm Anish, I'm Anish. Whenever the word Anish comes up, it refers to me, has to be put aside or has to be overridden by this
Mm.
new idea, new identity that I'm Ishan, I'm Ishan, I'm Ishan, I'm Ishan.
Yeah.
And perhaps we create a personality for ourselves as well in much the same manner, where we have repeated certain ideas to us and they have become so entrenched in our subconscious, we start feeling this is who I am. But that's not the absolute reality. As we said, we are not hardwired to it.
Yeah.
It can be reprogrammed. It may take effort, it may take time, but it can be reprogrammed.
Mm. All I'm thinking is, and we could probably touch on it in a few more episodes.
Yep.
Depending on where we get to, but just even hearing, you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yep.
It's
true and false.
right.
True in the sense that some grooves are just too hard to undo.
But are they really?
Not if I want to change.
Mm.
Right? If I want to make a change, nothing is impossible. And on this course, we've had people from the ages of 20 to the age of 70.
Right.
Even at the age of 70, people are wanting to make changes, wanting to achieve certain goals, and they make it happen. They may have been struggling with it for years. So, is it hard to change? Yes. Is it possible? Yes. Is it impossible? Definitely no. It's not impossible.
Mm.
It all depends on my clarity and my convictions. Why is it that I want that change? Why is that change justified? And questioning the old idea that, is it really true? If I think of myself as a failure, is it true that I'm a failure? Yes, I may have failed in a few instances, but so what? Everyone fails. There hasn't been any successful individual who hasn't encountered failure. But if I let those scenarios dictate who I am, then obviously I've boxed myself in. I've created a belief that I'm a failure. I'm not. Yes, I failed a few times. That's fine. I can learn from it. Try again. Do things right and succeed. But the thinking that I'm a failure, that thought pattern that has been created in my mind, actually undermines every action I take on thereafter.
Big time.
And this is what psychology explores to a great degree, that we are the notions that we hold. And so if I have a notion that I'm a failure, no matter what I take on, whether it's work, whether it's a particular goal, a relationship, that undercurrent, that thought that I'm a failure continues through all of it, and it undermines my success in every field. And its implications are huge. Whereas if I'm able to break that notion, break that belief, and recognize that, yes, I did fail, but that does not make me a failure. Failure is a part of every success story. I'd be seeing things differently and giving myself a better chance to succeed.
Yeah. Just imagine, the being we could become.
Yep.
And that we already are, actually.
Yes.
Because everyone has a voice to speak, right? They just got to choose how loud they want to amplify it.
Yep.
Everyone's got, again, same thing. Everyone's got the ability to think. They just got to choose
How to think.
how to think.
Yep. In what direction to think.
'Cause
And
even-
that's in our hands.
Yeah. I think it's understanding, knowing that I'm here. The situation has happened. What am I going to do? How shall I think about this? And you can also just be, okay, how would I think about it naturally, which might be a more pessimistic way? I'm going to think about it like this. Okay, cool. I've thought about that. Oh, actually, let me think about it in this way too.
Mm.
What could happen if I thought this way? And I'm thinking about it this. These are all the things. And then think, reassess.
Yep.
Which one you want to. Small steps, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, that ability to step back and evaluate. We normally have a thought process in our minds and we think, this is it. This is the only way to think.
Yeah.
And this is what great people do. They don't do different things. They just think differently.
Yeah.
It's a powerful quote, but it's so true. That great people don't do things differently. They just think differently.
Yeah.
So it's up to us whether we want to develop that ability to step back, evaluate, think differently, and then choose to act, rather than doing the same things that we've always done and getting the same results that we've always got.
That's great.
Yeah.
As always.
It's a beautiful idea, challenging our preconceived notions.
For sure.
And it opens up a great deal of possibilities for us. And it's not just merely substituting one idea for another. It's actually stepping back, evaluating, understanding, and going ahead with what is right. And, turning beliefs into knowledge and conviction.
Yeah.
And acting out of convictions rather than beliefs. There are many motivational speakers who are happy to give us new beliefs, but our convictions are so loose, they don't stick. Whereas when we step back, think deeply, evaluate, dig in deep into ourselves as to what is it that is right for me. Thereafter, what is born is a conviction. And when we act on our conviction, on our knowledge, the way we act is completely different.
Big time.
Yeah.
And it becomes so much, life becomes easier. Or
And
the
purposeful.
ability, the ability to make that decision and take on that belief becomes so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot less confusion as to, should I do this? Should I do that? No,
I'm going to do it.
I'm
I am
clear.
this. Yeah.
that what I want to do and why I want to do it, it's very easy. So that whole decision-making process also becomes clear.
Yep.
So yeah, that was one learning from my Make It Happen. But you know, I can't put it into, I can't do justice to it through words. It's something
Right.
that has to be experienced.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully I see a lot of you whenever we bring that here to New Zealand.
Yes. That would be great. Cool. All right, Ishanji, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Hariom.
Hariom.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Thinking is Free, proudly brought to you by Chinmaya Mission New Zealand. For more information on events, courses, Seva projects, and study groups, please visit chinmaya.org.nz. Hariom.